Hi everyone, welcome to Korean Express YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to learn the conjugation of Korean adjectives in the plain form. We have already learned the conjugation of Korean verbs in the plain form. So if you have not watched that video yet, you can go and watch it on Korean Express YouTube channel. I'm also going to share the link of that particular video in the description. Okay? In that video, I also introduced you all to the plain form of conjugation. We learned what is this form, right? Now, in this video, we are going to talk about Korean adjectives being conjugated in the plain form. So, without wasting any time, let's start. Now, first of all, before we go through this video, here is a very important thing that we are going to learn the conjugation of Korean adjectives in the three basic tenses: present, past and future. Just like we did while learning the conjugation of Korean verbs. This much is clear. This is going to be the basic layout for this video. These three tenses, we are going to talk about each of them one by one. Okay, now first comes the present tense. To conjugate an adjective in the present tense, we don't need to do anything. Simply leave the adjective unchanged. So basically, present tense is the easiest one when it comes to the conjugation of adjectives in the plain form. There is no need for any additional modifications. Just keep the adjective in its base form, in its dictionary form. For example, to be expensive in Korean is 비싸다, which is the dictionary form or the base form of this adjective. And the conjugated form is also 비싸다. Okay, so you don't have to do anything while conjugating the adjectives in the present tense. Super easy, right? Okay, now let's look at the examples. First one is the sentence, that student is smart. 그 학생은 똑똑하다. Student is 학생, and to be smart is 똑똑하다. So you just have to leave it in its base form if you're conjugating this verb in the present tense, right? Next example is, this dress is expensive. 이 드레스는 비싸다. Very simple. Dress is 드레스, a loan word, right? And to be expensive, we just saw is 비싸다. So in present tense, it remains 비싸다. Okay? Now let's move ahead and see this very important note. To conjugate adjectives into the past tense, particularly in the plain form, you must apply the same rule used for conjugating verbs into the past tense. So, if you know how to conjugate Korean verbs in the plain form in past tense, you don't need to do anything else while conjugating adjectives. The same rule is applied on adjectives too. Okay, but still we are going to revise it again because there is no harm in revising the rules once again. So let's start. Now the rule for conjugating adjectives in the past tense is you have to add either atta or otta to the adjective stem for conjugating it in the past tense. Now here there are two cases. If the last vowel in an adjective stem is either a or o, then atta is added to the stem. Okay, here you have to look at the last vowel of the stem. Okay, focus on that. And if the last vowel in an adjective stem is anything other than a or o, then atta is added to the stem. Okay, so अगर स्टेम का लास्ट वोवल आ या ओ है तो अत्ता ऐड होगा, और अगर लास्ट वोवल आ या ओ के अलावा कुछ और है तो अत्ता ऐड होगा. ओके, नाउ द रियल गेम इज हियर देयर आर अगेन टू सब डिविजन्स फॉर दीज टू केसेस. व्हाई? यहाँ हमने लास्ट वोवल की बात करी है. वी जस्ट टॉक्ड अबाउट लुकिंग, फोकसिंग एट द लास्ट वोवल ऑफ द स्टेम. But we also have to keep in mind if the stem ends in a consonant or in a vowel. Again, there are two subdivisions as I said. Okay, so now let's focus on that. First case is if the last vowel in an adjective stem is a or o. We know what we have to add, atta to the stem. Now there are two cases. If the stem ends in a consonant, then atta is directly attached to the adjective stem. For example, look at this adjective 작다, which means to be small. Look at the stem, it is 작. The last vowel is a, so ending is going to be atta, and the stem ends in a consonant. So atta is going to get attached to the stem directly and it will become 작았다. Okay, this one was easy. And if the stem ends in a vowel, then atta gets merged to the adjective stem. Look at this, 비싸다, to be expensive. Stem is 비싸. The last vowel is a, and the adjective stem also ends in a vowel, vowel being a. So the upcoming ending, that is atta, it will get merged with the stem and it will become 비쌌다. Okay, now if you don't know how to merge two vowels and what is going to be the result after merging them, then you must go and watch my video on conjugation of Korean adjectives in the past tense, because in that video I tabulated all the possible combinations and the results of combining various vowels together. Okay, I'll share the link of that particular playlist in which I explained conjugation of verbs and adjectives in the past, present and future tense. In the description I'm going to share the link, so you can go and watch that video if you want to know the combinations for merging various vowels. Okay, alright. Next case is if the last vowel in an adjective stem is anything but a or o, then what you have to do? You have to add otta to the stem. So first case is if the stem ends in a consonant, then otta is directly attached to the stem. For example, look at this adjective 맛있다, which means to be delicious. Stem is 맛있. So look at the stem. The last vowel is e. It is neither a nor o. So ending is going to be otta. Fine. Now the stem ends in a consonant. So otta is going to get attached to the stem directly and it will become 맛있었다. Fine. If the stem ends in a vowel, then otta is going to get merged to the adjective stem. For example, 느리다, to be slow. The stem is 느리. It is neither a nor o, the last vowel, and the stem ends in a vowel. So the upcoming ending is going to get merged with it. So e and a, it becomes 여, 느렸다. Okay, this is how it works. Alright, now let's look at some example sentences to understand more clearly. That house was too small. 그 집은 너무 작았다. Here, house is 집, too, focusing on too, 너무, too is 너무, and to be small is 작다, but in past tense it is going to be 작았다. Alright, next example is that hotel was expensive. 그 호텔은 비쌌다. Hotel is hotel in Korean. It is a loan word. And to be expensive is 비싸다. So in past tense it becomes 비쌌다. Okay. Next example is the food was delicious. 음식은 맛있었다. Food is 음식. To be delicious is 맛있다. And in past tense it becomes 맛있었다. Fine. The last one is I was sleepy. 나는 졸렸다. I is 나는 and to be sleepy is 졸렸다 in past tense. Okay. So this was all about conjugating Korean adjectives in the past tense in plain form. The rules are exactly the same that we used while conjugating Korean verbs. Alright, now let's move ahead and look at this note. To conjugate adjectives into the future tense when talking about the plain form, you must apply the same rule used for conjugating verbs in the future tense. Again, the same thing is happening over here. When talking about future tense, the rule used for conjugating verbs is used while conjugating adjectives. And if you know that rule, you will understand it is going to be very easy to conjugate Korean adjectives in the future tense, because you just need to add keta to the adjective stem if you want to conjugate an adjective in the future tense. Keta. Doesn't matter if the stem ends in a vowel or in a consonant. Okay, you don't have to focus on that. You just have to add keta to the stem. For example, to be happy, 행복하다. Stem is 행복하. Now in future tense, you have to attach keta to the stem. Very simple. 행복하겠다. Okay, this is how it works. Now let's look at a few example sentences. First one is, I will be happy. 나는 행복하겠다. Very simple. I is 나는 and to be happy is 행복하다. So in future tense it becomes 행복하겠다. We just saw that. Next is, this necklace will be expensive. 이 목걸이는 비싸겠다. This is 이 in Korean. Necklace is 목걸이. And to be expensive, we know 비싸다. So in future tense, it is going to be 비싸겠다. Okay. Now another very important note. This is very important. When you are talking in past tense, okay, while conjugating in the plain form, if the last syllable in a verb or adjective stem is ha, what does it mean? If the adjective or the verb, it is a hada verb or hada adjective. We know there are hada verbs and adjectives that end in hada, right? So if the last syllable of these stems is ha, obviously when we are talking about stem, we remove da from the adjective or verb and then the stem is left. So the last syllable of the stem is going to be ha. Then yotta is added to the verb or adjective stem instead of a. Focus. यहाँ पर stem किससे end होगा? हा से. अगर आप last vowel check करो तो आ है. तो according to the rules of conjugation for past tense, the ending should be atta, right? But no, this is not the case with hada verbs and hada adjectives. Whenever the adjective or verb stem ends in ha, then the ending is going to be yotta. And further, ha and yo, they get merged and it becomes he. Okay? Look at these examples to understand more clearly. First one is, I was tired. 나는 피곤했다. I is 나는. To be tired is 피곤하다. So it is a hada adjective. Now, when you look at the stem, it is 피곤하. In past tense, yotta is going to get merged with it and yo and ha will become he. So it becomes 피곤했다. Okay? Next example is, my mom cleaned the room. 나의 엄마는 방을 청소했다. My mom is 나의 엄마. Room is 방. To clean is 청소하다. In past tense, 청소했다, because it is a hada verb. Okay? Alright, so this was all about Korean adjectives being conjugated in the plain form. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe Korean Express YouTube channel. Thank you.